In the early 20th century, people who were born with deformities would join, or be forced to join, circus sideshows. These attractions were popular all over Europe and the US, and for most of these rare people, this was the only way they could earn money. This so-called golden age of freak shows wasn't glamorous. It was raw, controversial, and unforgettable. And in this video, we're going to take a look at the lives of the 15 most unique circus freaks that actually existed. Number 15. Max Smith, the musical contortionist. Smith rose to fame during the 1910s as a standout circus performer who blended two talents into one unforgettable act. He wasn't just a contortionist, he twisted his body into wild shapes while playing the banjo flawlessly. While most contortionists wowed crowds with extreme flexibility, Max added music to the madness. Watching him fold into impossible positions while strumming upbeat tunes was nothing short of hypnotic. He didn't just twist, he performed, smiling as he flexed, flipped, and strummed without missing a beat. The coordination it took to play a banjo mid-contortion made his act one of a kind. His movements were controlled, his music steady, and his presence electric. Max wasn't simply a sideshow act, he was an entertainer with physical skill and musical flair that few could match. In a time when contortionists were already crowd favorites, Max Smith carved his own lane by fusing physical precision with musical rhythm. He was the human pretzel with perfect timing, and audiences never forgot him. Number 14. George Moore and Fred Howe. In the 1890s, George Moore and Fred Howe became a fascinating circus duo by showcasing the extremes of the human form. George stood 6 feet 3 inches tall, but weighed just 97 pounds. His skeletal frame made him appear ghostly. Fred, on the other hand, was only 4 feet 2 inches tall, but tipped the scale at 422 pounds. His compact, stocky build made him George's physical opposite. Together, they were a living contradiction, a pair designed to highlight nature's extremes. Their act didn't need gimmicks. It was their contrast that drew gasps. People weren't used to seeing such dramatic physical opposites share a stage. The two became icons in sideshow history, performing across major circuits. George and Fred weren't just used for comparison. They were personalities with presence. Their act reflected a time when sideshow culture thrived on extremes, and their physical differences became their brand. Side by side, they represented one of the strangest, most memorable visual pairings ever to hit the tent. Number 13. Zazel, the first human cannonball. Rosa Richter, aka Zazel, was just 16 when she made circus history at London's Royal Aquarium. Petite, daring, and already an accomplished acrobat and tightrope walker, she climbed into the mouth of a massive cannon and launched herself 70 feet across the arena, soaring over stunned spectators. The stunt was a collaboration with her mentor, famed wire walker William Leonard Hunt, who engineered a spring-powered cannon to create the illusion of a real blast without actual explosives. Fireworks exploded for drama, but her flight was all tension and precision. As the act gained popularity, Hunt's version was eventually replaced by compressed air, which made things safer, but not soon enough for Zazel. After dozens of flawless launches, she overshot the safety net, suffered a broken back, and was forced into early retirement. Though her name faded with time, Zazel's legacy as the world's first human cannonball remains etched in circus lore, and her leap set a standard that performers still chase today. Number 12. The world's fattest man. In 1890, the title of World's Fattest Man was more than just a record. It was a ticket into the circus spotlight. The man behind that title became a major draw for sideshows across America. His weight, though not precisely recorded, was said to surpass hundreds of pounds, making his body an attraction all on its own. Back then, audiences were captivated by physical extremes, and being extraordinarily large guaranteed a place under the big top. He wasn't known for his strength or talent, just for his sheer size. People stood in line, stunned by someone who defied all expectations of the human body. His livelihood was built on existing outside the norm. Though his name and details remain vague, he represented a common sideshow theme, turning difference into spectacle. In a time before medical understanding or body positivity, his appearance meant curiosity, stares, and income. His story reminds us how circus culture profited from what society couldn't comprehend. It's sad, heartbreaking, and totally inhumane. Number 11. Annie Oakley, trick shooter. Phoebe Ann Moses was already making headlines in her teens, using her sharpshooting skills to help her widowed mother keep the family farm afloat. In 1875, she outshot famed marksman Frank E. Butler in a public match, and not long after, married him. She took the stage name Annie Oakley and toured with Frank until 1885, when the pair joined Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show. For 15 years, Oakley dazzled audiences with impossible accuracy. Her most famous stunt involved shooting the lit end of a cigarette straight from her husband's lips. She even performed that same feat for Kaiser Wilhelm II, with the emperor standing in Butler's place. Oakley's skill won admiration from royalty and tribal leaders alike, Queen Victoria and Sitting Bull among them. After retiring before World War I, she offered to form an all-women sharpshooting division for the war effort, but was ignored. She even requested a second shot from the Kaiser, but was also ignored. Oakley later focused on fundraising for the Red Cross. Number 10. Unzie Sarcassian. Around 1900, Unzie turned heads not just for his features, but for the way he carried himself. In an era packed with circus acts based on shock and spectacle, Unzie stood out with pure presence. His long, wild hair and commanding look gave him the air of a rock icon before the term even existed. While his condition, believed to be hypertrichosis, was rare, it wasn't just his appearance that made him unforgettable. It was his confidence. He wasn't just part of the lineup, he walked in like he owned the stage. The sideshow world often boxed performers into narrow roles, but Unzie didn't fit cleanly into any one mold. He blurred the line between oddity and style, spectacle and charisma. Though few personal details survive, his image remains, captured in photos, frozen in time. He wasn't just remembered because of how he looked. He was remembered because of how he carried it. Unzie didn't perform differently, he embraced it. Number 9. Maud Wagner, tattooed lady. Maud Stevens of Kansas began her career soaring through the air as an aerialist and contortionist with traveling circuses. But her life took a new direction at the 1904 Louisiana Purchase Exposition when she met tattoo artist Gus Wagner, who claimed to be the most elaborately inked man in the U.S. Maud was captivated by his artwork and struck a date in exchange for her first tattoo and a lesson in the craft. That trade changed her life. She soon began tattooing herself and, with Gus, toured as both performers and tattooed canvases. Eventually, they taught their daughter Lavetta the family trade, keeping tattooing in their bloodline. Maud's bold body art and technique earned her widespread fame. Today, she's recognized as the first known female tattoo artist in American history. A woman who went from mid-air flips to inked skin, pioneering a path in an art form then dominated by men, all while writing her legacy one needle at a time. Number 8. Madame Gustika. Madame Gustika was a member of an Ethiopian tribe where lip-stretching signified beauty, pride, and cultural identity. She wore a large lip plate, a symbol of respect in her homeland, but one misunderstood elsewhere. When brought to New York in the early 20th century, she was turned into a circus attraction, her stretched lips promoted as strange and exotic. But for Gustika, it wasn't a gimmick, it was tradition. On stage, she stood as a living representation of her culture, even as spectators gawked without understanding its meaning. While promoters exaggerated and sensationalized her look, Gustika carried centuries of tribal history with her, whether the audience realized it or not. In a world where cultural practices were often twisted into spectacle, she remained a powerful presence. Her act wasn't just about visual shock. It was about a woman holding on to her roots, even when placed under foreign lights and misunderstood gazes. Number 7. Antoanette Conchello, trapeze artist. At age 16, Antoinette was living in a convent in Quebec when her sister, Gertrude Mickey King, urged her to leave and join the Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus. There, she met Arthur Conchello, a trapeze artist since age 10. The two married in 1928 and formed the Flying Conchellos, one of the circus's biggest draws. Antoinette earned the title Greatest Woman Flyer of All Time after becoming the first female aerialist to land a triple somersault. Her reputation caught the eye of director Cecil B. DeMille, who brought her on board as a technical advisor for the greatest show on earth. She trained stars like Betty Hutton and Cornell Wilde, and even appeared in the film alongside her husband. Antoinette continued with Ringling for decades, ultimately becoming the show's aerial director. After years of stardom, she retired in 1983. Number 6. Leona Deair, Queen of the Antilles. Leona Deair, born Susan Adeline Stewart, didn't just raise the bar for circus acts, she floated above it. A fearless American aerialist, she achieved worldwide fame in the late 1800s for hanging by her teeth from the bottom of a rising hot air balloon. Her iron jaw act took circus thrills out of the tent and into the sky, literally. While her performances were mesmerizing, her career also included tragedy. One fall resulted in the death of her partner, Monsieur Georges, though Deair continued performing after the accident. She also attracted attention for several headline-making scandals, both professional and romantic. Her most iconic moment came in 1888, when she performed her jaw-hanging stunt 5,000 feet above London's Crystal Palace. That show cemented her status and launched a European tour that eventually led her to Moscow. By the 1890s, Deair had gradually stepped back from performing, but her legacy as one of circus history's boldest high flyers remains legendary. All right, now, let's move to Number 5. Otis Jordan. Jordan was born in 1926 in Barnesville, Georgia, and this guy lived with arthrogryposis multiplex congenita, which is a super rare disorder that locked his joints and severely limited his movement. His body resembled that of a child, but his head remained adult-sized. Growing up, mobility was difficult, so Otis rigged a custom cart pulled by his family's goat to get around independently. By the 1960s, he had become a popular sideshow performer known as the Frog Boy. One of his signature acts? Lighting and smoking a cigarette using only his lips, without hands, arms, or legs. His control and precision reminded many of another limbless performer, Prince Randian. But Otis wasn't just a novelty act. He often spoke to audiences about his condition, educating them while performing. He found success at places like Coney Island, even as sideshows began fading. As laws changed and public sentiment shifted, Otis fought legal battles just to keep performing. He died in 1991, one of the last performers of a vanishing era. Number 4. Louise, the leopard girl. Vitiligo, a skin condition that causes patches of lost pigment, gave Louise, an African-American performer, her nickname, the leopard girl. Her appearance was striking, but Louise wasn't alone. For over 2 centuries, performers with skin differences like vitiligo or albinism were displayed across the U.S. in taverns, dime museums, and sideshows. Often promoted with offensive labels like white Negro, these individuals were used to feed the public's obsession with difference. Louise's story sits within this history, where people were admired, scrutinized, and exploited all at once. Her skin wasn't just part of her act. It became a talking point in a time obsessed with race and novelty. The curiosity around her wasn't always kind. Louise's presence on stage reflected how society reacted to those who didn't fit its norms. Behind the stage name and the harsh spotlight was a real woman navigating fame and judgment. She was unique. Number 3. Ursula Bluchin. Ursula Bluchin's path into circus life was anything but glamorous. A working-class German in her early 20s, she joined Circus Busch in East Germany in 1952, not as a performer but as a cleaner. There, she befriended an animal trainer who began teaching her the complexities of working with dangerous animals. Despite standing only 5 feet 1, Ursula was captivated by the enormous polar bears, animals few dared to handle. She gave each one a name, treating them with the affection of a mother toward her children. Over time, her act grew to include 14 polar bears and 4 Kodiak bears, a feat that made her internationally recognized as one of the world's most fearless and remarkable trainers. Known for blending authority with tenderness, Ursula captivated audiences with her bond to the bears. After her farewell tour in 1998, she ensured her beloved animals found permanent homes in German zoos. Number 2. Barbara Woodcock. Barbara Woodcock's circus career began in the 1930s when she was still a child in her parents' show, Marlowe's Mighty Hippodrome. She first trained as an aerialist and later as a leopard tamer before meeting William Buckles Woodcock, a man born into a family of renowned elephant trainers. Together, they created a distinctive act that combined William's skill with Barbara's flair for presentation. She designed elaborate costumes not only for herself, but also for her husband and their elephants, giving the act an unforgettable sparkle. Their performances gained widespread success, leading to an appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1965 and a long-running partnership with the Big Apple Circus from 1982 until 2000. Carrying on the family tradition, Barbara introduced her children into the circus from infancy. Her son Ben, only 4 months old, had his first elephant ride. Later, he and his younger sisters, Shannon and Delilah, performed alongside their parents, continuing the Woodcock Circus legacy. Number 1. Pascal Pon. In the early 1900s, a performer named Pascal Pon took the circus world by surprise. Based in Texas and famously dubbed the Two-Headed Mexican, his nickname wasn't literal, but it stuck due to his unforgettable facial structure and stage presence. Pon became a standout figure in the Cell's Floto Circus, one of the biggest American touring shows of that era. His act in 1917 captivated massive crowds, not just because of how he looked, but the way he owned the spotlight. His appearance sparked curiosity, and in a time when sideshows leaned into anything deemed unusual, he turned it into his edge. Though concrete details about his private life remain limited, his presence in circus history stands strong. Pon represented an era where performers carved out success through self-acceptance, showmanship, and a thick skin against judgment. He wasn't just a nickname in a lineup. He stood as a reminder of how individuality could turn into something bold and unforgettable under the big top. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you very soon.